a motion to come out of executive session. Motion to come out.
Motion, yeah. Second.
No, same thing.
Good evening. Welcome to a meeting of the Board of Education of Somerset Hills. Please be advised that this and all meetings of the board are open to the public and media, consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act, and that advance notice required therein has been provided. This is a meeting of the Board of Education of Somerset Hills at which formal action may be taken. The public will have an opportunity to be heard as shown on the agenda.
Just go do pledge allegiance.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Baker?
Here.
Ms. Cooper?
Here.
Mr. DiGiacchino?
Here.
Mr. Dale?
Here.
Mr. McDonald?
Here.
Mrs. Santoro? Here. Mrs. Tober? Here. Ms. Virtue? Here. Ms. Birch? Here. Mrs. Lees?
Here.
We received a thank you note from Kelly Wells as course as
Okay, report of the superintendent.
Good evening, everybody. I trust that students, families, and staff are all in the groove of the new school year. With one back-to-school night at BMS and one at Bedwell in the books, we still have another at Bedwell on deck for tomorrow, and then the high school's back-to-school night scheduled for October 3rd. We're happy to begin this meeting by welcoming our student reporters. I know that anybody who attends meetings or watches our YouTube videos will agree that these reports are the high point of every meeting. From BMS, and in a moment, we will welcome 7th graders Marley Beers and Ella Damratoski, experienced reporters. And from the high school, we are happy to have senior Haley Cordero Pujols? After Haley's report, our STEM supervisor, where's one of them? Not STEM, Science, Technology, Math supervisor, Dr. Olga Edgerton will present last year's New Jersey Student Learning Assessment results. While our responsibility to report this data is mandated, we recognize that these results are but a single metric, deserving consideration in conjunction with all the other academic, athletic, and co-curricular information that paint a detailed picture of our district. Lastly, a word about transportation, we know that all the drivers are back on the road. We've got all those yellow school buses, and certainly while the first few days sometimes have some hiccups, we feel that things are rolling along well. Based on the feedback I've received from parents around the district, things seem like they are in better shape this year than they were last year at this point. The business office, our transportation coordinator, and I continue to address individual concerns as they arise, recognizing our responsibility to the community. We're confident that at this point we have realized short-term fixes to some issues and will continue to work towards making student transportation consistently safe, pleasant, and efficient. So, without further ado, Marley and Ella, are you ready? Come on up. You look more grown up than you did last time.
BMS is kicking off the new school year, and it started off in August with the Newcomers Breakfast, which was held on August 27th in the morning. We had 15 student council representatives and some other student ambassadors. The new students came for an introduction and a tour. Each of the ambassadors were grouped into grade level and gave those new students a tour of the entire school.
At BMS, the field hockey team has beaten Whippany Park in a shutout 1-0. Girls soccer won their first game in 3 years last Thursday. The girls soccer team, led by head coaches Mr. Pedro and Mr. Griffin. Cross country at BMS has also started with multiple successful meets already in the beginning of their season. Boys soccer is also looking forward to their game on Friday at home versus Memphis Borough.
Last year, the student council officers and 2 active 5th graders of student council went to TCNJ for the New Jersey Association of Student Council's winter conference. This year, we are going to the fall conference, and it is coming up on October 8th. We take a bus and go to the College of New Jersey and have a big orientation. Then we get a schedule. From there, we split up into groups of about 2 or 3 and head off to different sessions. In each session, we learn about different programs and events that different student councils do around the country. It is a really fun trip and we can't wait to go again. We get ideas that we can come back with and use at our school.
So the new playground area. So the past year, anticipation has been buzzing for our new playground area at BMS. This area features multiple basketball hoops, many 4-square courts, and a small path where students can walk and socialize with friends. After lunch, students have the option to go outside before returning to classes afterwards. So far, the students have enjoyed this new addition because it has something for everyone to enjoy, even if that's just walking on the path with your friends after lunch.
Tomorrow is our first house day and the school is really excited. We have divided into 4 houses by our health classes, and those houses are Duke, Penn State, Princeton, and Rutgers.
Each house earns points for student participation and spirit wear. At the end of the day, the winning house's flag will be raised under the American flag. This idea came from our student culture and climate team. Thank you for listening.
Thanks,
Alright, hello. My name's Haley. I am a senior, of course, and I'm from Bedminster. So just to kind of get to know me a little bit, I participate in various activities throughout the school, and I'm very proud to say that I'm an active member of the community. In addition, I'm also a part of the Somerset County leadership group, which kind of puts all the towns of the county together. We kind of talk about the issues affecting the community and such. And yeah. So as far as what's going on in the school, we kind of started off last week with a pep rally. It was really fun, a really fun way of everybody to really come together, which was really nice to see the school spirit come back. Prior to that, we had Spirit Week, which consisted of things like Wacky Wednesday, Jersey Thursday, kind of Spirit Wear Friday and such. You had said before, Peer Leaders is kind of guiding parents through back to school night on October 3rd, so we're looking forward to that. Congratulations for the yearbook. They are doing amazing. They actually were awarded a gold medalist for the Scholastic Yearbook Critique, an All-Columbian Honors by scoring 192 out of 200, and an NJ Platinum distinction from the Garden State Scholastic Press Association. So they definitely deserve some recognition because they've been doing really awesome. Also, as far as the newspaper, they'll be taking trips to Rutgers and Columbia to further aiding their experience, and the upcoming issues will involve basically articles on the new faculty, like the new play director, as well as the new football coach, and 2 of each of the top fall sports teams or athletes, and 2 seniors. As far as National Honor Society, their tutor program is now in full session, so students will have access to that pretty soon. And guidance is actually doing this really cool thing now. It's called stress management sessions starting on October 4th. So, students have a chance to basically go into guidance, and if they are really overwhelmed or anything of that sort, Ms. Drew, along with other guidance members, are there to help them, which is really awesome. As far as the senior class goes, we have a lot of cool things going on. We started off the year with the senior barbecue this Sunday after school started, which is really cool. Kind of crazy that we're seniors though. It's insane. We also are starting with a fundraiser, so we're doing something new this year, I would say. It's called Pennies for Prom. So we have this little bucket next to registers at lunch, and basically, people have extra change, which typically we don't do anything with, they can kind of put it towards our cause, which is really cool. And we are also selling card magnets in order to aid our cause. In addition, we did a Chipotle meal fundraiser where we get I'm not exactly sure what the percentage is, but we do get some money from that, and we plan to do it again in the beginning of October. The first football game, home football game, was this Friday. They won 44-0, so go them. Students were actually full of spirits, and it was actually what seemed like the biggest student section we've had in a very long time. It was really, really fun, and the entire student section was full of student spirit, so it was awesome. As far as sports, girls soccer is their senior night was about 2 days ago. They're on a 3-4-2 record. Field hockey is on a 5-2-1, and boys soccer is in a 6-1. So everybody's doing really good. Marching band has a competition coming up this upcoming Saturday. So cross our fingers that they're gonna do really good. And as far as like sports and clubs, everything's going really well. On a more serious issue, the new security procedures are doing really well too. Students are actually really following it, and everybody is going by it, which is really nice. So everything's going really well at the HS.
Great. Thanks to all our students who are willing to give up their time at this hour of the night. We do appreciate that. Dr. Edgerton, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, she's ready. The board may want to, what? Yeah, oh yes, the students can go home. Yes, Dr. Edgerton has hard copies for you, but you may want to move to the front of the screen.
Thank you. I see that.
Oh, good evening, everybody. This is our yearly presentation of the statewide testing results. Last spring, in April and May, our students took NJ-SLA tests, which is very, very similar to PARC testing, to the point that comparison is totally valid and in fact expected. Let me describe a little bit of the students who took the test. Just like in the entire state of New Jersey, English language arts and literacy assessments were taken by majority of students in grades 3 through 10, and mathematics assessments, students took in grades 3 through 8, and end of course assessments, students took in courses of Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. Algebra 1 and Geometry was administered in both Algebra 1 was administered in both buildings, in middle school and in high school, and Geometry and Algebra 2 was administered in high school. The difference between last year and this year, state told us pretty late in the year that 11th graders will not be tested. So this is one comparison that's not going to be happening. 11th grade was not tested. Like majority of school districts, we chose not to test it. It was a choice. Some students didn't test it. The data that will be presented tonight, we will look together at level performance percentages, and we will compare them with the state. So we'll look at the distribution by the grade level and by the level of how students perform. And we will overlap the distribution of our students' performance to a state performance. We will look at some multi-year trends. We'll look at year 2017, 18, and 19 for a variety of reasons. First of all, state does it like this. 3 last year is a good indicator. And the second of all, the 3 last year had pretty much constant rate of students taking the test. There was not many students who refused to take it, so it was, again, valid comparison. We will look at subgroups performance, different distribution. We will look at our areas of strength and areas of further exploration and some interventions there. Just to remind you how those tests are scored. So those are online tests. They usually run about 2-3 hours depending on the grade level. And students, as a result, getting a single score, sometimes with some different sub-scores, but a single score ranging between 650 and 850. Level 1 is a score, raw score between 650 and 700, interpreted as student not meeting expectation. Level 2, partially meeting expectations between 700 and 725. Between 725 and 750, level 3, and this is approaching expectation. And this is truly approaching expectation. Some of those students probably missed the cutoff by a few points. So this is more as a happy zone. Many of those students with proper support will absolutely join level 4 next year. Again, if you want. Meeting expectation is the level between, is the score between 750 and roughly 800, and this borderline is flexible between different levels. And level 5 is exceeding expectation, and this is between roughly 800 and 850. Now, stay looking at the level 4 and level 5 as the passing level. So as we're looking at percentages of our students that scored in level 4 and level 5 and add them together, that's what state says is our passing score. It's somewhat a random border where they draw this line. If you go historically and look at the PARC results in general, some states, when PARC was first introduced, actually decided to do cutoff score between levels 2 and 3. So it was a New Jersey choice to do it between level 3 and 4. It's just something interesting to know. So we as a state keep very high expectation, and our passing rate is not exceedingly high because the test is really honestly quite difficult. Again, to remind you, the one difference between this year and the previous year that we did not have 11 native state in this test. Let's first concentrate on ELA. And before we start looking at our results, I wanted to present one slide that simply addresses New Jersey performance. When we start comparing results, it's nice to know what the state of New Jersey does as a state. This way we can compare grade by grade and level by level. So if you notice in the very first column, this is approximately number of students who took such a test. So again, it's ELA and this is number of valid scores. You can see that in general, it's pretty consistent. It's 95,000, 98,000, 100, 200. So it's about 100,000 students that took such tests. So as you notice, level 4 and level 5 performance together over here constitute this passing rate. And it differs from grade level to grade level. It starts about 50% for the third grade, then it rises to 57, somewhere around 57, 56. It peaks at about 63, this is for grade 7 and 8. And then it subsides down to about 55, 58%. The 10th grade test is the test that's considered to be very important. This is graduation requirement, and students need to get 4 and 5 in order to satisfy the graduation requirement for high school. There are other venues to satisfy this requirement, but basically this is the main one. And that might explain slight bump back from the grade 9 because it's managed that much and students feel that it's very, very important. But again, this distribution is interesting. Keep in mind we don't have a uniform passing rate. Let's look at our results now. This is the first slide. These are our students that took ELA test from grades 3 to 10. This is a number of valid scores. You can see that, again, it's very consistent, similar to plus size, about 120 students from grades 3 to 8, and about 200 students for the high school after that kids join us. Again, this is distribution level 1, level 2, 3, 4, and 5. And level 4 and 5 together added, this is our passing rate. Here, a little bit blurred, is the state rate, so you can compare. Purple, that's us, and green is the state. So you can see that we are absolutely exceeding all the state passing rate by some healthy margin, depending on the grade level. You can see that we start at 56 as opposed to 50 plus extra 7 points, and there's another 7 points. And here we're exceeding by more than 10 points. And notice by grade 7, we exceeding by more than 20 points, which is great, and we're very proud of this, and that's what should be happening for a district of such caliber. We are doing very well. Another interesting point, look at level 1. We want level 1 percentages to be as small as possible. This is tiny percent for the same grade 7. It's a very, very good result. All these percentages are single digit, is exceptional. Interesting one, if you look at the overlap of us and the state. This is a little visual for us to see the passing percentage. This is grade 3, you can see green is the state, purple is us, and grade 4, a little bit higher passing rate, and then a little bit more. So it's rising and somewhat peaks around the middle school here, and again it subsides a little bit down. We're following this trend, and again by some healthy margin. And here I did a little bit math, and this is a polynomial curve of passing. And we're going from 6 point difference to over 20 point difference. And again, this is just interesting to keep in mind how grades are distributed. This is also interesting slide. Here you can see the distribution by level, by grade of us right next to the state. So 3 things we want to look at if we're going to dig a little bit deeper. So level 4 and 5 together, do we exceed state, which we just saw, we exceeded very well. We want to look at just level 5. We do want to exceed level 5 as well, because those are students who are exceeding the expectations. It's nice to outperform the state, to meet expectations, but it's really great if we can have a high percentage of students who exceed the expectations of the grade level. And another thing we want to look at the level 1, we definitely want to be lower than the state. And you can see grade by grade that we're definitely lower than the state. And again, look at the differences in grade 7. State has 9% of students who are in level 1, and we have 1.5. And the only real place that we do not exceed the state is this tiny little place with the 3rd grader that has a little bit lower number for the level 5. We still to get a level 4 and 5 exceeding the state, but this one we are short probably about 3 points here. And this is just something that we can look into. It's definitely not a major cause for concern, but it's just something that's a little oddity and we need to apply. And we can see the 3rd graders usually, they are unexperienced, they're very young. They probably have not seen computerized tests that much. And this might be a reason or a variety of reasons that we need to look at. This is another distribution that we also always look at. As good as general results might be, it's always important to see, as we're looking at particular subgroups, what would be their performance and what the trends are. We require to report for all subgroups that exceed 30 students, and under 30 we do not report, just to protect student privacy. So you can see we have 3 large subgroups. This is by race. White students, 780 we have in the district. So passing rate from the last 3 years, it rose from 73 to about 76%. While state students, the same race, perform at 67% passing rate. So we are outperforming our peers at about 9%. For Hispanic subgroup, we did grow noticeably between the year 2017 and 2019. We went from 34 to 39 to 40%. If you notice, we are under the state percentages, so this is something for us to look at. It could be a result of a variety of factors. It could be the fact that we do have a noticeable population of students who are not strong with language yet, and they are language learners. So this is definitely something to dig in and just concentrate when we address it. Asian students, 50 students, and they perform outstanding results. We're passing rate about 96% as opposed to state of 83. So these are subgroups by race. The other two subgroups are also very, very important. And as you can guess, they can overlap the race subgroups, of course. These two subgroups may overlap noticeably. Students with disability and economically disadvantaged. Students with disability, we have 212 students, again in grades 3 through 10, valid scores. And the percentage of passing went from 35 to 38 to 35. It's somewhat within the area. We're talking about 5-6 students difference. State, though, has only 22% passing rate, so we are by far outperforming the state. These are very good results. Economically disadvantaged subgroup, we did grew by 6%, which is very good trend. However, you may notice that we are a little bit under the state, and this is just another area that we'll need to look more precise and concentrate on this. So we're very, very cognizant of what's going on and what needs to be addressed. So if you want to highlight some notable achievements in LA, as I mentioned before, we do absolutely outperform the state in all grades 3 to 10. Grades 7 and 10, which I didn't have this slide, but as we looked at the previous year performance and this year, they grew a lot. It was noticeable growth. Grade 7 and 10 saw an increase of 8 percentage points, and the other one slightly less. This is a lot. Most subgroups outperformed the state, and the ones that did not, we are going to do this. And students with disability outperformed the state by a large margin. So this is our notable achievements. And as for areas for further exploration and intervention strategies, here's what we put for ourselves as a goal. We are going to examine performance of underperforming subgroups to look for targeted interventions. They have to be designed, it has to be very cognizant effort. We'll look to continue to offer early intervention summer program, and that will address our students who are language learners, so it will absolutely help. Starting early is a big help to address problem. Monitor progress of participant in new extended day program. This is a Title 1. This is to address our economically disadvantaged population. Shelter instruction. Yes. This is the name of the program that helped our teachers to teach class that has a mixed population with some students who learn in English and some who are native speaking. And there are different strategies from some nonverbal cues to quite opposite, to uploading the vocabulary first, learning the vocabulary, and then teaching the class. And we are going to analyze student testing data to inform our goals and to target our professional development and look for further partnerships. Okay? Mathematics. This is New Jersey distribution, same slide as ELA. However, it's very different patterns. Let's look at, again, distribution by the grade level and by different levels, and let's also look how many valid scores are there. So here we'll look at grade 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. If you notice, the number of students who has valid scores who took the test is about 100,000. very similar to what you saw in LA. So pretty much all students taking this test. 7th grade, maybe if you notice, possibly missing 3,000-4,000 students. Interestingly enough, those students are taking Algebra 1 statewide. About 4% of 7th graders statewide taking Algebra 1. So the very, very top of the students are not part of this number, they are the part of this number. However, in general, it's not a big percentage to speak of. Grade 8 is entirely different picture. Notice what a big difference between the numbers. So as you would expect, having about 100,000 students in grade 8, only 63 or 63% of them taking the grade level test throughout the New Jersey. So the rest of the students are taking Algebra 1. So think about this in a little bit different ways. So we have the student body, those are stronger mathematics students who are taken into Algebra 1. So the 63% that left would be students who are sometimes struggling a little bit more. It could be average to high level students depending on the district. Could be high percentage of special education students. The bottom line is accelerated students are not in this group. So everybody who are accelerated in mathematics are in this group. So no accelerated students in grade 7, no accelerated students in grade 8, and that's why the result will look so drastically different. Algebra 1 is another test that highly anticipated, highly managed, because it's again graduation requirement. So you can see 108,000 students took Algebra 1 test. These are 7th graders, 8th graders, 9th graders, 10th graders. And traditionally there were some 11th graders, although not last year, very few. Geometry, the number goes down again for a variety of reasons. If students are doubling up Algebra 1 and Geometry, or Geometry and Algebra 2, they're not taking Geometry. So we will be excluding all these students. And in general, the students already passed Algebra 1 and satisfied graduation requirements. Some of them are not that interested in taking geometry, so the rate of refusal a little bit higher there. Algebra 2 will be true outlier this year. So what happened traditionally, Algebra 2 class is taken by sophomores and juniors. Sophomores if they accelerated and juniors if they're in the traditional path. Well, now no juniors were taking this test. So basically, if grade 8, there's no accelerated students, then Algebra 2 are only accelerated students. So it's quite opposite. So let's now look at the passing rates. Like I said, it's quite different pattern. From grade 3, we go from 55% and it immediately goes down in mathematics to 51, and this is the state numbers, not our state numbers. To 46, to 40, 42. Then grade 8 is absolute outlier, so try to kind of skip over this because there's different rules apply to grade 8. And then it goes to about 43, and then it's 32, and normally all the previous years, Algebra 2 followed this pattern. It's about 27% of passing rate, but this year it received this unfair boost just because the population is not the same. So this number is very confusing, and it's really not comparable to previous years at all. And it's just totally different.
That's the question. Is there a big difference in the numbers, grade levels within the Algebra 1, the Geometry, and the Algebra 2? Those scores
In
different,
general,
must be different, or are they
Algebra
similar?
2 in general a little bit lower, but it wouldn't be that drastic if they didn't cut off.
It did make a difference, the age,
Oh,
grade
the
level of
age
student, grade level of student, I'm
Well,
asking.
if they accelerate, oh, there's a big difference. I understand your question, I'm sorry, I'm going to address it. So if you're asking what happened, what kind of results you're getting if they
Within each
age
of those three
Yeah.
math levels, does it make a difference
Yes, it
what
does.
grade level was, what grade level brings?
Yes, huge difference. This is our results, and again, try to kind of mentally overlap them and look what we're talking here about. Here's our number of scores, 113, 109, very similar to population in grade 3 through 7. Notice grade 8, we only have 41 students. It's much smaller percentage than the state. So we accelerated much larger percentage of students. It does make huge difference. We'll look at this as well. Algebra 2, this is again it's a compilation of grade 8, 9, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Geometry, it's 9 and 10, and algebra 2 is basically grade 10. So this is state passing rates, and this is our passing rate. So let's compare them. We are exceeding state in grade 3. This is a total population. Grade 4 by quite a few points, 12 points, 17 points, 12 points. Grade 6, grade 7, exceeding by 20 points. Now, exclude grade 8 for a second as an outlier. Let's look at algebra 1. We did very, very nice. In algebra 1, we exceed by 10%. Geometry, we exceed by 12%. And again, let's stop for a second for algebra 2. There are reasons why we did not exceed state level because the percentage of our students who were accelerated is mismatching with the state. We simply not comparing same things. Because our students accelerated and left grade 8 in much larger number, we will get a larger number of students who were not traditionally that successful in mathematics. Again, could be a larger number of special education students. And that's why you look in at the 0 at level 5. All the students were pushed into algebra 1 and chose to take algebra 1. So this is all easy to understand, easy to explain. There's a sweet spot here. How many students do we want to accelerate and do we want to push to accelerate? If we are not careful, or if some districts are not careful, if we get in too large of a percentage, we actually can get much worse result in both tests. They will not succeed in algebra 1 if they're not ready, and they won't have a chance to take algebra to take grade 8. So again, it's a very particular way you have to look what the correct percentage is.
Let me just ask a quick question. The numbers statewide in math for levels 4 and 5 versus the numbers state level in ELA 4 and 5 are materially different.
Yes.
Is there like a systemic disconnect between the curriculum statewide and what's being tested for?
I wouldn't say it like this. It's almost the cutoff points were almost random. They're chosen by the state. It's a traditional bell curve, and that's how they assign the cutoff point. They could have assigned cutoff point before that. Does it represent the fact that we think they're not doing in mathematics as good as the LA? It's difficult to say, but again, the only reference point is us as opposed to state. It's really not the curriculum question. I wouldn't see it like this.
Well, us relative to the state is, materially underperforming. I think they're
I understand.
I understand what we're looking at, I'm just curious, I mean, it's striking, right? The disconnect is striking.
Right.
I'm just curious as to whether it was systemic or what was driving that.
I would say it's probably property of the test. If we wanted to have it a little bit different, we would have had a cut-off point at a different point. Lots of different things could be done. With all the work that's done by the state in LA in mathematics, and a lot of attention paid to mathematics in LA. Should there be a little bit more attention to mathematics? Possibly. Possibly, yes. I think with teacher college, with so much push towards early literacy, it's become a very successful literacy program statewide, and those numbers are high for a reason. You are probably right to some degree. It's systematic. it's systematic across the whole field. So this is a little visual for our passing rate and the state passes. So you may notice that if you look at the state is green and us is purple. You can see that passing rate is just kind of slowly going down. As tests become a little bit more difficult, students do not perform as well. We're starting at above 50, so very fast, it's going down to 40. A little boost for algebra 1 for a variety of reasons, and then it goes right back down. And the only reason this bar is so high is because there's no 11th graders tested. It equals all these right down, and we are on a little bit a trend line. And this one is different. Remember LA, I thought it's more polynomial, going a little bit up and down and peaking at grade 7 and 8. It's not like this in mathematics, and it was like this for 5 years. So the passing percentage simply goes down. There's a little bit boost of algebra 1 that's taken a few points from grade 8, and it went traditionally right down here. So there's 2 outliers. Just keep in mind, again, this is only students who are not accelerated in mathematics, and these are only students who are accelerated in mathematics. So it's not the whole grade of course level. And as for the whole grade of course level, this is New Jersey trend, and this is us. And we do have, again, healthy margin above the state, but in general, it's very similar trend lines for us. Now, if you look again under the microscope at the distribution of different levels and the different grades, again, just like with ELA, we want to have level 5 exceed the state, not just 0.5 together, and you want to have level 1 to be below the state in every grade level if possible. So you can see grade 3 below the state, and we are below the state everywhere with the small exception of grade 8. Again, we don't want this. And level 5, all these percentage points are exceeding the state, except grade 8, we exceeded in grade 7 by 12 points, and this is very, very strong result for grade 7. Notice, not just we scoring at 62% passing rate, we are having over 20% of students who are exceeding those conditions. And the only couple of points of not concern, but again, just to look at, it's again our low level, our low grades. Grade 3 and 4, while in general we pass in with very healthy margin, we do have a few less students who are scoring 5s. So they are proficient, they are not exceeding the grade expectation. So we can look why and who the students are. It's pretty small sample. Probably look even deeper. And here's an interesting slide about algebra 1 answering the question. So what's happening within those algebra 1, geometry, and algebra 2 tests if you look in by the grade level? And this is comparison of us and comparison for the state. State does this as well. State distinguishes between different grade levels. Again, students who are taking algebra 1 and grade 7 are the most accelerated students. Students who accelerated in 2 years. Students in grade 8 are accelerated by 1 year, and high school, traditionally, they all 9th graders. We have very few 10th graders, and they probably usually not the students who came through our middle school and high school. There's some different considerations here. So notice, please, grade 7, we have 100% pass rate. So What that means, we identified our students very well. We were absolutely correct, we did not make any mistake. It would be hard on the student to be identified and to be accelerated and then not pass this test at the end of grade 7. Now we accelerated for 2 years now, they will be ahead of their class for 2 years. They should be passing. They should be passing and we do an absolute job. We have 80% of our students scoring at level 5, we have just a handful, 20% of level 4, and the statewide notice 35% level 5, not that high. 60 level 4, so together it's 95% passing rate for grade 7. But they have 1% for for level 4 and 4% for level 3. So 5% of students were identified for acceleration, but ultimately did not succeed in the state. Grade 8, again, state has percentage rate of 75% between level 5 and level 4. We have percentage rate of 82% passing. 15% of our students passing this 5 state is 67% of our students passing this 4 state is 63. And we do have 7 and 11% of students who are scoring at 2 and 3. And this is again something that we should probably go back and look at. We, in general, we probably do not want to select students who would not be successful in the first test. But again, it's test. Just keep in mind this is not their grade for the course. It's just one test. And another thing to keep in mind, which people usually don't realize, the error state gives us for those scores is huge. It's about 8-9 points. So if someone off of the passing borderline by 3-4 points, if they took the test different day, different test, they would be passing and vice versa. So for example, if you remember, level 4, it goes from 750 to 800. So if you're somewhere in the middle with the error of 12 points, it basically takes half of the level 4. They could have been in level 3, they could have been in level 5. So it's a big error. It's just something to keep in mind. So to say that student that got 3 by a few points off is not successful is not a good statement. But still, it's just something.
What percentage of the underlying takers are grade 9 or 10?
For us, over state.
For us.
For us, it's 57.5%.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
If you notice in high school, and this is across the whole state, we are not exception there, the passing rate drops dramatically. So these are students who are not accelerating. So we get into 1% of level 5 and 25% of level 4, with a total passing rate of 26% for the high school. And actually, if you are to look even deeper into grade 10 and 11, if students are in grade 10 and 11, the passing rate are single digits. We're talking 4% passing and 2% passing. For us, our high school end up with 31 percentage point passing rate, which is again exceeding the state. And for high school population is a good passing rate. It's exceeding the state. We are doing well. We have slightly higher rate of students who end up in level 1, but then again, here's another thing that I mentioned before. Remember those distributions we just mentioned? This is a huge difference as well. When we're looking at our, say, 8th graders, as opposed to state 8th graders, they're doing much better, our 8th graders, but we also have more students who are 8th graders, state graders. So we're doing double well. Does it make sense? So it's a larger percentage and we are doing better. And for the grade 9 and 10, we have a smaller percentage. And we are still doing better. And this is a low performing lower performing mathematically students. So this is all very positive numbers for us. We have a smaller percentage here, and our median score is higher by 5 points. For 8th graders, we have a larger percent, and our median score is higher than they. And this is interesting, something else to look at grade 7. Statewide accelerate about 4% of students. Last year we accelerated about 2.5%, so we actually a little bit under. We do have a little room there to accelerate a few more students. But we're doing exceptionally well with the students that we identified. This is well over fives. 812 score is very good. The next slide, again, that's something that we're looking and disaggregating data for white, Hispanic, and Asian students. Our 3 largest subgroups, again, we only report on subgroups that large enough not to identify continuous students. So for our white students, the level 4 performance this year was 63%. Their white peers across the state performing at 54% passing rate, and our rate went up to about 6 points. Hispanic students went up from 24 to 28. The gap is significant, but look at this. This is a state gap. It's very significant there as well. And our Hispanic students performing the same level as the state, but definitely do better. This is again something we will do. And Asian students were only 50 of them, so keep in mind 2% points, it's a lot, very, very small. Statewide, they performed in mathematics at 77, and for our district it's 78%, still we are student with disabilities, we do very well in mathematics as well as ELA. State only has 17% passing rate for students with disability, very low in mathematics. We have a passing rate of 30%. Economically disadvantaged students, and this is another area that we should be looking a little bit deeper, what we can do, especially early intervention. 26% statewide student passing, and we are going up. It's very positive trend, and so far we are at 41%.
How is economic disadvantageousness defined, identified?
Free and reduced
Free and
lunch.
reduced lunch. So it basically, I would say it's kind of self-defined. Some people may not apply for free and reduced lunch, and we will get a small percentage. It should be. As for notable achievements, we continue to outperform in state in grades 3 through 7, Algebra 1 and Geometry. So all these grade levels that we had entire student population to compare, and the only outliers and where we don't is grade 8 and Algebra 2. We particularly performed very, very well this year in grade 4 and Algebra 1, and Algebra 1 is always matters, and this is our graduation. In Algebra 1, we saw we outperformed the state for all grade levels. Most subgroups outperform the state. We do be very cognizant of what's going on. And students with disability outperform the state peers by a large margin in mathematics. And as for areas for further exploration and intervention strategies, there's a nice list for ourselves. We are going to target curriculum development. We're looking at sequence of instruction. We are going to look at our classrooms. Are they truly standard-based classrooms? And when we speak about the systematic possible deficiency, this is the way to look at systematic deficiency. Research potential benefits in benchmark assessment and possible curricular changes. Benchmark assessment have their own value and analysis of student testing data to work to inform our administrative goals and curriculum decision and targeted professional development. Continue to examine performance of underperforming groups to design targeted interventions. That's very important, very comprehensive. Roll out shelter instruction training. I said it. Same idea, very similar approach. Continue to partner with the organization promoting inclusive education strategies. And one last thing we added, analyze existing middle school placement mechanism for accelerating students in mathematics, because it's very possible we can accelerate most students. We just have to be very, very careful how we do it and to do it to benefit our students. And that concludes the main part of the presentation, and there's a couple of other slides. Tomorrow morning, scores the reports will be mailed to parents. And this is a sample report for ELA. They look very, very similar to what you saw last year, except now they added a little bit of computer code here that parents can type into newly curriculum portal. I haven't seen it yet, I don't think it's open yet. But what's interesting, after you register and say if you're a parent of third grader, you can look year after year after year at the problems. Another interesting thing, they do tell you here on the bottom, and I'm not sure if that was here last year, how well the student grew in comparison with peers who scored the same way last year. So it's little percentile is very interesting. And then mathematics, the same thing. And these links are good for parents to interpret the scores. This PowerPoint will be posted right tomorrow on the website, and everybody will be able to click and look for all the different resources. There's more than enough resources, all the different resources.
Before you sit down, so the comparison to the state is very interesting, from what compared to the state. Did you look at all about how we compare to, for example, Somerset County?
We cannot yet see the way state releases these reports. So far, it's really just data for us. We have to report it publicly within 60 days, so people don't have until it's embargoed. Right. Everybody will have to report by November 8th, and then if there's a need, we can choose whatever district we want to compare if it's available.
One of the things we talked about a little last year was taking time to perhaps compare our results to other districts, and then we sort of went down a rabbit hole of who would those districts be and what criteria would we use. So I think that becomes part of the question as well. But certainly Olga is correct in that it's premature to talk about that at this point.
So, when the parents receive this report, if they have questions about it, who should they go to? Is the teacher, the principal, you, superintendent?
Probably teacher and principal first people.
I mean,
And they
it's hard for me to redefine,
Yeah.
I don't know what means.
Well, we have a letter that we've sent
Yes.
along with it.
It's more or less self-explanatory.
So,
Good. Thank you so much, Olga, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Olga.
Gretchen, can I just ask a question about this? So one of the things that I know when CARP came out was they talked about the benefit of teachers and how they could apply the results from last year and this year. And I'm just kind of curious, are you feeling like that is happening? And
If the teachers and the supervisors try to do some analysis with the information that we get on, certainly on individual students, but also on aggregates and trends. You may remember last year was the first year we added a statistics and probability course at the middle school, which was part of that work because we recognized that students were never having an opportunity to get to that material before the test. So yes, that work happens. I don't know, quite frankly, Heather, if the information we receive is more meaningful or as meaningful as it could be. I think there's limited information we are provided. Back in the day that kids took the New Jersey Ask test, I know teachers received samples of, they get the writing piece back. We don't get a lot back, so we get numbers back. Certainly the state provides us with a lot of information about what the standards are. I have never heard anybody say that they believe this test is not aligned with those standards. And I think that we rely on that to make the best decisions that we can.
Thank you. I was just wondering if we're, as a state, we're recognizing that benefit that, was put forth.
They give us something that they call evidence statement results, where they'll go standard by standard and give us like a scatter plot of where kids fall by the standards. So when we talk about like the statistics and probability, we knew we weren't getting to those standards. We knew students were not performing well because they hadn't been exposed to them. We designed something that every student would have. They'd have it before the test. The intent was to not have it be a homework-based class so that it was additional math homework, but more games-based fun. And Olga looked at those results for me the other day, and they looked markedly better.
Yes, and especially level 5. So we went from, I believe, 13 percentage points of passing to 21. So it was interesting. And this is even on top of the fact that we moving a few kids now to algebra 1. So without this moving to be even higher. So we definitely saw the difference.
Thank you. Can we receive similar data on science testing?
Not yet. Do we know what the plan is for that?
The plan is the state said October, and we've never received the results before. Year before it was a pilot test, and this was supposed to be baseline data. If we ever receive it, we'll see how it looks. But so far I haven't heard it either.
No, nor have I.
Any other questions? Okay, public questions and comments for actionable agenda items. We very much welcome input from the public. Public comments are welcome at this time on any agenda item. Towards the end of the meeting, there is a second public forum on any topic. Please state your name and address. Comments are limited to 3 minutes, but an individual may speak a second time after all others who wish to speak on the topic have been heard. Please understand that our public forums are not structured as question and answer sessions, but are offered as opportunities for you to share your thoughts with the board. In instances where the board feels there is a misunderstanding or inaccuracy, I or the superintendent may address the comment. In accordance with New Jersey statute, the board will not discuss matters regarding specific personnel. Public questions and comments will be limited to 30 minutes. Thank you for your input. Do we have any public questions or comments on actionable agenda items tonight? Seeing none?
Motion to approve minutes? All in favor?
Aye. Abstain. You need to abstain.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Job, finance, facilities, and operations.
Yes, Finance and Facilities and Operations Committee met last Tuesday, September 18th, or only 2 hours. Back to our normal length of meetings. One topic we talked about was the rotate crop schedule, and that Gretchen and Heather informed us that they're going to spend one day with a consultant that we brought in to look at that. And then later on that week, they reported that the consultant, we met with 2 days, and that the consultant was assured us that our infrastructure was suitable for the rotate crop schedule. More on that will come once they analyze his report and all that kind of stuff. So I just want to report that, because last time we had talked about there could be a financial impact. We don't know exactly what that may be at the moment. We talked about, Heather informed us that she's getting quotes for the GPS for all 16 school buses. And once she's got all the information, we'll talk about it some more, and we'll probably have to vote on spending the money. But this will allow parents to see school bus arrival times on an app, maybe at least that amount, and then our manager will be able to see everything. We'll know where every bus is and everything at any time. So if a parent has an issue, we can certainly respond to that, and it's going to also provide us with a lot of other data. So hopefully I'll have more information for the board in the next month or two as we move forward on that. Our financial audit was done, and Heather and Gretchen are having an exit interview on Friday, correct? That's right. And if there are any recommendations from that, the finance committee will discuss that at our next meeting. If there are recommendations, we have to have an action plan to correct. And sometime by Christmas, before our December board meeting, we should hopefully have the financial audit booklets and our presentation. That's the target to try to do December. It may get to January, but we'll see with that. There's a resolution on our agenda tonight to rescind the contract for the BHS Burnsville Center walkway and the handicap parking. So that's on the agenda. We discussed that. Also on the agenda, there's we're approving a new IT manager, and one of his early objectives when he gets here in November will be looking at our web filtering software to make sure that's what we need. There's been some concerns whether it's the right kind, whether it's appropriate. And the last item that I want to report on are fundraisers. We approved all the fundraisers that are in the packet, and we talked about the appropriateness of whether the superintendent should or the board approve these fundraisers. A lot of people in our committee felt that it should be the superintendents, but I'm going to kick that down to policies. When we talk about policy, we'll have a full board discussion on pros and cons of levels of approval. So we'll just leave it at that. So, because I think it's, the board's got to feel comfortable on that, obviously. So, I'd like to move items 1 through, on the finance first, 1 through 11. Do I have a second? Any questions on the finance part of the agenda?
I would say that I remember, because at our board meeting, we added fundraisers to it too. And that was because, we looked at our insurance, they had actually called insurance company, and anyone who's under our insurance, they said the insurance was covered if the board approved. So, and so we called a lawyer, they didn't know that, so we had to actually contact the insurance company to see what the wording was. So I'm not sure if we have that same thing, but that might be something we have to really look at.
I reached out to our insurance company and got the same advice that that if it is a board approved event and that it is a school supervised event, then it falls within the parameters of ours. But they're always, it depends on what the situation is. There's always it depends kind of situation on things, so it depends on what that event is, and sometimes it may follow the student's accident insurance instead of the school's. It depends on what the situation is.
That's good input though. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. DiGiorgino?
Yes.
Mr. Mayo?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro?
Yes.
Mrs. Stover?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Ms. Birch?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
On the facilities and operations, I'd like to move items 1 through 4. Do I have a second? Any discussions on facilities and operations part of the agenda? Seeing none?
Mr. Baker?
Yes?
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. DiGiorgino?
Yes.
Mr. Mayo?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro?
Yes.
Mrs. Stover?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Ms. Birch?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes. Okay, Janice, curriculum, please.
Okay, the curriculum committee met on September 17th, and prior to Dr. Olga Edgerton's thorough presentation, she reviewed the New Jersey Student Learning Standards scores with the committee. Therefore, there is no need for me to discuss this any further. The curriculum committee reviewed the class sizes at all 3 schools. Mike Corbett was invited to review the high school enrollment for 2019-20 with the committee. Courses with very low enrollment have been co-seated. There may be some more specific situations that the committee will continue to explore. Then Gretchen informed the committee that a consultant had been invited to the high school to help us effectively plan by making the change from our existing bell schedule to a new bell schedule at the high school. This consultant would help determine what the impact will be on our custodial staff, food services, traffic flow, etc. I think this already took place, correct?
Yes.
But we did not discuss that part in the
Because it was happening while we were meeting.
All field trips were approved by the administration and the curriculum committee, and agenda items 4 and 5, status on 2018-19 profile, and the next steps regarding AP scores were postponed until the October meeting due to a lack of time. So, I would like to move action items 1 through 5 on the agenda, and items 3 and 4 on the addendum. Are there any questions?
I'll second.
Discussion?
I have one quick question. In looking through the trips, sometimes we provide transportation, sometimes we don't. And looking at the policy, I couldn't find anything in the policy that defined when we do and when we don't. So how is that decision made?
I'm gonna let Heather talk about that a little bit.
Are you talking about the field trips themselves?
Yes.
It would depend on whether we have a bus available that the district can provide, if there's a bus and a bus driver available at the time of the field trip. If not, it needs to be outsourced, then there would be a cost incurred for transportation.
Does that mean that every field trip requests transportation, but some of them just don't even bother to request?
Some don't know.
Is there a particular reason that they take that approach?
I think sometimes a teacher or an administrator who's planning a trip and knows that they need a bus that is going to impact time-wise our regular dismissal, knows that the bus won't be back in time. So I think they kind of have that knowledge of what might be available. Certainly, from a standpoint of when I was the principal, I would say that anytime somebody thought they might be able to get a bus, they reached out to get said bus.
Some of these things are like preseason training trips with parents and
Yeah, I just noticed that.
coaches, and they're a couple days or a weekend, and they're not gonna.
I just happened to notice that the robotics school counties must provide transportation, we did hear the request first.
Any other discussion?
Roll call. Mr. Baker?
Abstain from 3DD, my professional development, we'll all do probably. And yes,
Yeah, we have. Ms. Cooper? Same. Mr. DiGiorgino?
Yes, could I, I'm saying yes to that, could you just mark the abstain, this facilities and operations, action item 1? Refers to an HIV, or was not here for.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Mail?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro?
Yes, and I'll abstain from HH.
Mrs. Tover?
Yes, and I'll abstain from 3GG.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes, and I will abstain from FF.
Ms. Birch?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes, and I will abstain from 3EE.
Personnel and policy.
Right, so, personnel and policy met on September 17th, and, all members were in attendance. We got many updates from Strauss Esme, as we do several times a year that we received and, just began to look at, and then took them home with us, for further reading. So, do you want me to list those, do you want me to list those out? Is that?
Do you want to do personnel first, since it's on the agenda first, or?
Sure, sorry about that, that's okay, I could do that. Okay, so personnel was, same time, same committee members, and we reviewed the updated job description for the assistant superintendent, and we looked at the administrative organizational chart. The committee was comfortable with the changes to the job description, and Dr. Dempsey felt that the responsibilities that were eliminated have either already been or will be covered by various other office positions. That was one of the topics that we discussed, and the organization chart remains the same as the one that we looked at in the spring. Captain Valentine is still working to fill the vacant SLEO position, and
just so you know, I talked to him yesterday just to kind of check in. He does have the candidate that we interviewed, he is moving forward, so all of that is a go, and it will take at least another couple of weeks. He continues to provide us with other people to fill in, but we're looking forward to the end of that kind of patchwork.
sure. And you did mention that they've done a really good job providing resources for the school while we've been looking for this full-time position. So we've been very pleased and thankful for that. And again, just to reiterate, the district is fully committed to that position. So we look forward to our new full-time person. And at that point, Dr. Dempsey was in the process of hiring our new IT manager and considering making an offer for a part-time position.
Both of which are on your agendas.
Okay, so I will move items 1 through 19 on the agenda. And items 4, 7, 10, 12, 20, 21, 22, and 23 on the agenda.
Second?
Second.
What does SOAR stand for?
That's so funny, I had to call Amy today, because I was like, what does SOAR stand for? And she said, it's not an acronym.
It's not?
No, I think I assumed it was. They weren't sure what to call that, the program, that's our Title I program for an extended school day. And she said, after much debate, they just said, we're helping the students to soar, so we're calling it SOAR. It doesn't stand for anything.
All right, well, go figure, okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any discussion on any of that?
Roll call?
Yeah, I
Oh, I'm
actually have
sorry.
a question on, like, this policy, 3218.
We're not doing policy.
Oh,
We have to go back
okay.
to
Yeah,
personnel.
I have no questions.
Hold your thought there. All right, Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgino?
Yes.
Mr. Nail?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro?
Yes.
Mrs. Tover?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Ms. Birch?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Okay, so policies, as I was saying, we got the big update, some of which are mandated for our policies, many of which are. So we started reviewing those, and we also have on here for first reading our substance abuse policy. We are going to be putting back some language that we had put in there that had been lost due to one of these Strauss-Esme mandated updates.
So what we learned through that policy was that sometimes when Strauss-Esme gives us an update, if we just take the update, we lose language that we may have put in place in a policy in the interim. That in fact happened with policy and regulation 8600 that is not on your agenda because when we started to compare what we got in our most recent release to what we have in place now, we said these changes just look huge, we need more time to dig into them. So Scott really dug into 5530 to identify the specific language that had been lost in the last update, and we're adding that back in.
We also have the two policies in second reading that we discussed last month, earned sick leave and random drug testing. And then once again, we did discuss fundraising. So let me talk about this and then we can go back to the policy in the first reading, parent organizations, and we can pick up on the discussion from finance. So in general, we just went back to why we had started looking at fundraising and talking about it in policies. And, we had a lot of discussions across the board last year and just kind of wanted to reiterate that we really felt that we wanted to have fundraising in our district that's specific, goal-oriented, within a defined time limit, and all of that information be accounted to the district. And that those were really the board's goals and objectives when we're talking about fundraising. And so we've talked about how that gets rolled out in finance and in policy. And we, in policy, had suggested that the form that is submitted be reviewed in the finance committee on a monthly basis, similar to what we do with the field trips. And I know you guys have had some discussions with regards to whether you think that is appropriate or not. The policy 9210 in parent organization actually specifically discusses that. So tonight as a board, what we probably need to do is decide whether we want to remove that update, which then no longer would the board be approving fundraisers.
No, if you removed it from the agenda, you would continue to.
I'm sorry.
Yes, because the revised policy, which you have a choice in terms of adopting, has been updated to say that the superintendent or designee approval is all that is needed. It does, fundraising with board approval. Strauss-Esme has explicitly said that a board doesn't need to adopt this recommended revision if the practice has been to receive and approve parent organization requests and wants to continue to do so. So that's the decision.
So we can either leave that in, which then would remove the board from approving it, or we can take it off the agenda and utilize our existing policy and continue to approve fundraisers. So with that, I why don't I move the agenda items and then we can have our discussion.
Well, I'm just saying.
Procedurally, do we have to,
You can discuss it first and then make a motion to
Okay.
move it or leave or whatever,
Okay.
so move agenda items,
you can discuss
You can
first.
discuss.
okay.
Let's discuss.
Let's discuss. Does anyone have,
We've moved the agenda items.
We're gonna wait because, well, we could.
we're gonna wait
Discuss
and
it.
discuss
Otherwise,
this policy.
take that out and leaving it in.
We are gonna discuss parent organizations as a board to determine whether we want to continue as a board approving fundraisers or whether we think that we should not approve them and Dr. Dempsey or a designee would approve them without the board. And I think a lot of people have had a good dialogue about this. It's, there's pros and cons to both.
Well, Monica's point was a good one.
Yeah, the insurance is something that actually we had not discussed, so I think that's,
I think we really need to look into that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the HSA has their own insurance for their items, right? But a lot of the stuff is,
I think we looked into that insurance issue in August, relative to sort of a field trip that was happening prior to the board meeting, or subsequent to the board meeting. So I think the insurance issue is actually addressed, and we can check on that.
that was for field
That's
trips.
on
Field trips instead of for fundraisers.
as far as fundraisers being covered by insurance is the question.
and Monica,
It's on a-
If it's a board sponsored, you know,
Covered.
Can we all speak louder, please?
if it's board approved and it's a school sponsored activity, then it's covered.
So, under that, board approved fundraising would be, does not include the HSA, right, is that what we're saying, that they have?
those now, but
We approve, but they have their own insurance,
Yes,
so we have to worry about their
insurance.
insurance.
Correct.
And also the, project graduation, that's,
Yeah.
they have their own insurance.
They use ours.
Oh, project graduation does?
I know you had conversations around something like canning. I mean, you could have somebody who was out in the community actively trying to raise funds and, yeah. I mean, personally, I think that the decision is, do you feel that having the board weigh in on fundraising gives you some additional input, level of comfort, security? I mean, that to me is kind of what it
Well, I think
boils down to.
from the perspective that last year we were trying to figure out whether our teams were underfunded, right? And so the information that we were getting through those discussions kind of informed, well, what do they really need that they're not getting? Is it extra stuff? Is it bare necessity stuff? And I think we learned a lot through some of those conversations. That was useful. So
Which we would not have learned, had we not.
we
had
wouldn't
those
have learned it if we never saw it. So I don't know, I mean,
Those ones in the booster club, and they have their own insurance.
it was booster questions, but they were booster questions.
Insurance things.
I think the booster club is under our stuff, I have to double check that.
We can still see the information that I have to prove it. I don't care if Dr. Dempsey do the final approval as long as we provide the guidelines, that's acceptable. And she can ask for us to approve things that she's clear about.
And I just said that the language,
Well, if, once we find out what the insurance issue is.
yeah, that's insurance.
Because maybe we can change our insurance policy.
Right.
It says as long as the superintendent approves it, that's good enough.
And I agree with Jack. I think there's other mechanisms and channels that we can use to get that feedback if we need it. So I'm okay with Dr. Dempsey approving it as well.
Do you wanna hold it for now
I was gonna
until
say,
you
so
have
why
the
don't we hold it
insurance?
for now,
Yeah, until we find out
get
the
the
insurance.
information on insurance, and then we can you know, talk about options, whether we wanna change our insurance, you know, depending on the answers we get back.
Does anybody else have any thoughts about that?
And I'm curious about the insurance issue relative to school approved fundraisers conducted off-site.
It follows them, yeah.
It follows them.
But Monica, you're saying in your school district, in Bedminster, it's only if it's board approved.
Yes, so insurance cover, and that's actually in the insurance policy itself, because we had, I think they had called the lawyers and they had to actually go back and look at the insurance policy. And then the policy had to be board approved, or if something happened, it would be covered.
Okay, so we have to look into that. So for now, we should take this out, and then we will revisit it once we get all the information. Does that sound good? So I need to
Someone needs to make a motion to remove that, and then get a second for that one, and then you can make a motion to do the rest of them.
Okay, so, let me just find it on here.
It's
I-
9210,
Yeah,
yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna make a motion to remove policy 9210 from the agenda.
Okay, so now we want to move
Now
on.
I need to move.
Yeah, let me
We
do
have
the
to
vote
vote
on
on
that.
that.
Okay, so Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgino.
Yes.
Mr. Mayo,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro,
Yes.
Mrs. Tober,
Yes.
Ms. Virtue,
Yes.
Ms. Birch,
Yes.
Mrs. Lees, yes.
Okay, so now I'll make the motion to move items 1 and 2 on the agenda,
Minus 9210.
minus 92.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Jim.
Basically, no. I have a question on the modifications being made to policy number 3218. Can you just describe the rationale for removing the language that's been removed?
So those were mandated updates that came to us from Strauss Esme. Do you want me to talk about what they indicate are the updates to these policies?
And just so I'm clear, mandated by Strauss Esme means what?
Means that either laws or practices within the state, whether it was a case itself, have informed their company in terms of existing policies or regulations that would require changes. So they manage all of that for us. In this case, they point out that there were 2 issues that came up regarding a school district staff member who was suspected to be under the influence of a controlled substance or alcohol during work or at a school-sponsored event, and that is the reason that they have then made changes to this based on cases that came before the state.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I mean, the language that's being removed reads as follows. A teaching staff member is prohibited from possession, use, distribution, or being under the influence of any substance during work hours or at school-sponsored function where the teaching staff member has been assigned job responsibilities. I'd like some further description as to why that is being removed.
Hang on one second while I get that, yeah. What page is it on, Tim, in
Page 1.
it's in the policy, not the
It's the
regulation?
policy, yeah, I was just looking at the regulation.
The only thing, and I cannot answer that question in the sense that you can see that it came to us that way. would say is has it been moved somewhere else? Or has something been added that would cover that?
I think it's
Certainly, I was gonna say, there's that new paragraph on page 3 of 4, that speaks to possession.
There's also another paragraph on the second page.
Certainly, I don't think the intent is to say that that's suddenly okay, if it wasn't before.
Where is it?
On page 2 of 4, in the third paragraph, it explains that once that person has been determined by the board physician to have been under the influence, then it goes through the discipline and whatever, kind of repeats.
I don't see that, I don't see that language being.
It's not as clear to say that you shouldn't possess it. It says if you get caught, this is the consequence.
Well, I understand that,
That's what
but
they
it doesn't say what it said. And I'm trying to understand why
Why it came out there.
why we are changing that policy.
And one of the things that I can speak to is that when we get these updates, I have never seen a timeline associated with how quickly you have to implement them. Obviously, different boards of education meet on different schedules, so there's no harm, if you will, in pulling this and waiting a month. What I have in front of me is what is sent to us by Strauss Esme. I did share these particular ones with our attorney because I had another question, but it was certainly not related to that language, so.
Now, most of the time, these are, sort of
The
relatively
boilerplate.
mundane boilerplate.
Yeah.
That one in particular struck me as, if this board is gonna approve that change in language, I think we should have a deeper understanding of what it is and why.
I feel like the remainder of the language in this, does say that in others, maybe not exactly.
It doesn't say exactly what's been taken out. I understand that. So,
There's a lot of difference.
Well, if it's a first reading, it could stay, and then
And then we
we
can,
can report out the next time.
sure. Because I don't see anything that
And
looks
if we
like
don't like it the next time, but
well,
we can still
no.
have it report again,
Absolutely.
Bob, I'm sorry, Bob, can you say if we leave it in first reading?
Yeah, because that's where you can make revisions, or you get more information. So on October 30th, between now and October 30th, if Gretchen can get some more clarification from our attorney or Strauss Esme and bring that to the policy committee, we'll look at it, and if we feel that it's appropriate, then we'll report out on it, and then we can, or if we say, no, it's not what we like,
Then we can pull it.
we'll pull it, yeah.
Yeah, no,
I don't think there's a- you mean pull
I would
process?
I would table it now.
Yeah, I would definitely.
I mean, you
I would
I've
take- I would
talked to
table it now,
Jovis, but I
pending
haven't
that.
talked to Strauss
Then you can
Yeah, you have
reintroduce
to
it.
be careful about that. You wanna take it out of first reading. Okay,
I would.
So we take it off first, you're just gonna check on it, but are we gonna still
I'm
go with?
not checking out.
I mean, you're gonna, a policy, I mean, is gonna check on it, you're not gonna not go with Strauss
I'm just,
No,
I'm
no,
just
I
saying.
understand what you're saying,
No,
Monica, you have to, this is a mandated policy and revision, we don't have the option of saying no, what we can do is say, we need more information, let's find out some background. As I said, I have never seen anything published that says they need to be implemented by a Board of Education within this time.
I agree, that was what I was wondering. Okay, so do we wanna keep it in first reading, or do we wanna,
We can do, you can do a motion then.
a motion to take it out?
To take it out if you want. And then vote on the rest of them.
Tim, I think to your point about that language being removed, I thought it was actually in the very last paragraph.
That's why I.
Where they actually, instead of saying upfront that it's prohibited, I took it as they're outlining the process. And then in the end, if someone is positive, these are the consequences up to any.
And they actually take off
Tenure
teaching
charge.
staff. Did you know they don't say teaching
Yeah,
staff?
there's
Staff
a lot of
member.
nuance in the language, but the language is being changed. Is what I'm saying, so there's a lot of nuance, and I'm just curious as to why the language is being changed in the way that it's being changed. So that's, you know, if everyone else is comfortable with it, that's okay.
Yeah, but Heather was
I-
saying they actually have the actions to take, like a
I
non-tenured
understand, I'm saying
teacher.
it's very specific
The
language.
only thing that I would say, Tim, is because 3218 and 4218 are so related, one is for, I believe, teaching staff and one is for support staff. If the board is going to pull one of them to hold until next time, you probably wanna take both of them. I think they mirror one another.
I think it hurts.
That's fine.
Make a motion to take them out. It's
It's not
cleaner
gonna
than.
hurt anything, it's cleaner.
Pardon me? That's what somebody made a motion, I'll make a motion.
You make a, you
Take
make
them
a
out?
motion.
I'll second that. So we're taking out PNR 3218, PNR 42.
Correct.
Roll call on this motion. So, Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. DiGiacono,
Yes.
Mr. Bale,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro,
Yes.
Mrs. Tober,
Yes.
Ms. Virtue,
Yes.
Ms. Birch,
No.
Mrs. Lees.
Yes.
Second reading, policy regulations of stress assessment as well, correct?
Yes.
Well, anything that has an M after it.
And it's mandated.
So I have a question of, having had an opportunity now to reread through our substance abuse policy, because we might make a change to it. One of the things that I noticed was that the way that it's determined that somebody was abusing a substance significantly impacts the outcome from that discovery. So in our substance abuse policy, even if you're just suspected by a staff member or faculty, then the consequences are fairly harsh. But if you're determined to be positive for that use through a random drug testing, the consequences are much less. That doesn't make much sense to me because we really have the same desired outcome. So at some point, we should probably just take a look at that, how, because I know one was written many years later than the other. We should probably take a look at how the two of them function together. So as an example, in the substance abuse policy, if you're suspected of using a drug, the staff or the administration has the right to report that to the police and put it on the public record. If you're actually determined to have definitely used or have in your system a substance under the random drug testing, you do not have the right. The administration does not have the right to report it to the police, and it's not on the public record. So those seem very different, because one's just a suspicion, and the other one's a definite proof.
And
I
Jan,
believe they're both student policies though, right? We're talking about student,
Yeah, students, yes, students.
so you're referring to
5530
5530.
and 5130.
So I think if I recall, random drug testing was state controlled and has very strict laws on it. I think
Absolutely.
that the reason that it's not reported, that's a state rule. The other one, so I think you can do both under the law of our guidelines. So, you know, I would check with our lawyer on that, but I think my knowledge when we've had all these discussions that are very controlling random drug testing, the students will not get in trouble with the police.
Yes, internal. It's an internal.
Yeah, that's the way it was explained when we had all these discussions over the years. I don't know about you, Greg, but I think that's, because you've been around long when we've had
It
these
was
discussions.
designed to not be as severe for a lot of different reasons, none of which I'll get into at this point, but that's how it's designed. I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying it was very deliberate.
It just seems as a school board, if our goal is to limit drug abuse, we should have the same consideration of how it's discovered. But just,
So you want us to
I'm okay with voting on it if it changes as it is, but I just think we should take a look at how the two policies work together.
The
to show
policy
it-
committee could do
To
a
show it having the outcome
comparison.
that we want.
And we'd have to talk to
I'm okay. This change doesn't really impact that.
Okay.
I
Oh, you want us
just
to
had
take
the
a look
opportunity
at
to
it
read
and compare it?
There were a lot of ancillary concerns, and in order to get a random drug testing passed,
Right.
it needed to be a little bit softer.
Yes.
I don't just, I think we did the right thing, we certainly spent quite a bit of time with it, so and I have no problem continuing to look at it and possibly revise it in the future. But, I don't know if I want to comfortable changing it now, it's just one person.
Yeah, just take a look at how the two work together.
Yeah, okay, I think that's a good idea.
Any further discussion?
So now I'll do the roll call, and this is on all of these policies, except for 9210, 3218, and 4218. Policy and regulation. Policy and regulation, correct. Okay, all right. Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. DiGiacchino,
Yes.
Mr. Nail,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro,
Yes.
Mrs. Tober,
Yes.
Ms. Virtue,
Yes.
Ms. Birch,
Yes.
Mrs. Lacy, yes. The Community Relations Meeting, Committee met on September 19th. We had Jamie Lees, Greg DiGiacchino, and Janice Virtue as board members in attendance, and Dr. Dempsey and Colleen Butler also joined us. 4 topics were discussed, and I think all of them had positive and even exciting updates. So starting with the Bernardsville Cultural Arts and Public Mural, Dr. Dempsey reported to have met with the mayor and Councilwoman Christine Zamara. Next steps for this project include 2 meetings, one this fall and one in January, that are going to be held with the greater community. It's important to note that from a district perspective, Susan Fisher and the BHS art teacher will be involved to determine how our art students can be actively involved, as there really is a great opportunity here to tie in our visual arts program. The hope is that the mural will be completed by the end of the current school year. The second topic surrounded the Little Library project that we talked about last year. The update here is that the actual wooden boxes are going to be constructed by BHS students in a woodshop class this fall. The materials are being donated by St. John on the Mountain Episcopal Church. 2 boxes are going to be constructed. One is going to be placed on Claremont Avenue. We've secured that location. And a second location is still to be determined. We then moved on to the topic of structured learning experiences, or SLEs, that we've spoken about quite a bit last spring. Colleen Butler reported to the committee that significant progress was actually made here over the summer. The first big update is that a BHS teacher was identified and certified to be able to lead such a program. Colleen also went to the Bernardsville Chamber of Commerce over the summer to talk about potential partnerships and internship opportunities, and she was really warmly received, and the whole concept was very appealing to local businesses. And she will be doing a similar presentation to the Berners Township Business Alliance soon. Colleen shared the idea of possibly initiating an SLE program for STAR students. STAR students are students transitioning to adult responsibilities. So we talked about this at the Community Relations Committee. We actually took the concept through our previously established evaluation criteria for viable programs. And we recommend that the Somerset Hills School District move forward with an SLE program for STAR students as a phase 1 of a rollout. We also feel that further exploration of a rollout to the broader BHS community be discussed, with it possibly starting in fall of 2020. So therefore, the concept will be moving to the curriculum committee for further discussion, consideration, and planning. And then lastly,
Janice Virtue raised the idea of a potential partnership with the Bernardsville Garden Club, who would like to actually work with us on developing a junior garden club for our students here in the district. The Community Relations Committee felt strongly that this type of partnership could expand learning outside the classroom and engage with the broader community. We then reviewed the concept again against our evaluation criteria and determined that this concept was also worthy of further evaluation by the curriculum committee. So therefore, we have these two concepts moving forward, which I think is very exciting. And any questions? Thank you.
Okay. Supplementary matters.
Just make a comment. So having a senior, we're deeply involved in the college process. And I just want to say that the guidance office and the counselors have been doing an outstanding job. I've been to a series of different events. And I know it's not just the guidance counselors, there's a lot of people who are involved in supporting the students as they go through this process. But they've really done an impressive amount of work, and you can see how much they care for the students. The amount of time that people put in to write letters of recommendation, those kinds of things, shouldn't go unnoticed. And it's a super stressful time, and they're just like sort of bending over backwards in a lot of ways, as that I've seen, to help people and to help them de-stress. So I just kind of wanted to just call them out and commend them on what I think has been a great job. One observation I have is, this whole thing about college and the cost of college and the alternative paths. Something we've talked about. I know it's something that Janice really cares a great deal about. I think it would be helpful to think about bringing a little structure, not to add to the burden of the counselors, because I know they got a lot on the plate, but to educate people on sort of some of the alternative paths, including things like taking a year to go work or do some other experience. So oftentimes people just aren't aware of what's available. And I just think, like, if there's a way to do something, and I'd be happy to share whatever information that I can come across. And again, I don't want to add to their burden because they've got plenty on their plate. But I do think from a parental perspective, it would be helpful for people to know that, like, there's other things that you can do and other things that you can consider, and they all are worthy of your time and attention. And I think sometimes it gets lost in the shuffle. We focus too much on the college outcome, when in fact there's a lot of other things that people should be thinking about.
Probably wouldn't have been a good thing to do at the panel night with all the college people there, but maybe a different.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I would love to have had a discussion as to return on investment of $300,000 4-year college tuition.
They probably didn't want to.
Yeah, I'm sure you would not have wanted to have that because, quite frankly, we all know that we have to be lifelong learners, and life is long. And so when you think about your money that you should be spending, on your lifelong learning, that needs to be amortized over 20 or 30 or 40 years. The idea of front loading it into 4 in the period between when you're 18 and 22, at the scale at which it's being, spent today, is absurd. And I'm confident that we will look back on this period in our history with the cost of college education and the burden of college debt, and be dumbfounded as to what we've done. So I just think it would be helpful for us to communicate, some of those other ideas. And again, it's not to add to their burden because you're doing an awesome job. But I just want to kind of note that.
Think about it. It's great. Yeah.
Well, I just want to make one other point, as long as you brought this up, that I think that presenting some alternative career path should be presented in a positive way, because sometimes, many times, messages get out to children that college is the only path, and a four-year college, but maybe a two-year college, or maybe a work program to save, so that children don't get saddled with so many loans, and then college perhaps down the road, or maybe learning a skill. But I would like to see positive emphasis put on that, instead of only talking about college.
I believe we're doing that in guides already. There's absolutely no way every child's being recommended for high price 4 years.
we work hard to put everything in a positive light, and help students make those decisions. We'll continue to do that.
I think it's
That's
not
good
going to be
feedback.
more of a societal issue than perhaps particular to us.
Turning to public service announcements.
Certainly.
So St. John's Nursery School is actually having an educational consultant, Cindy Tarabush, come speak to parents and teachers on how to build a foundation to develop critical thinking skills. It's going to be held on October 7th from 7 to 8:30. It's open to all parents and teachers in the community. It's going to be 7 to 8:30, did I say that? If anyone's interested, they can call St. John's Nursery School for the details. And then also, there's going to be a flu shot clinic administered by Rite Aid at St. John on the Mountain on Wednesday, October 23rd from 9:15 to 12 noon. And again, if anyone's interested in taking advantage of that flu shot clinic on Mount Harmony Road, in College Church. Thank you. Yes.
Any other supplemental matters? I just touch on one thing to talk about with the motion, the idea of doing the motion of going into executive session at the end of this meeting for next meeting. I just wanted to comment on the fact that we changed our whole process of our agenda so that we would be going, so we would open the meeting, go into executive session, and then come back out of executive session by doing it at the end of the meeting and then sort of not opening the meeting and just, it's kind of, we're going back to what we were doing before, as defeating the purpose of having changed our policy to say that we're gonna open the meeting and then go into executive session and then come out of executive session. So I would just recommend that we meet in here at the beginning of the next meeting, go into executive session, and come out of executive session and come back.
So come here first,
Yes.
6:30.
You know how we did that in the media center?
Yes.
Walk down.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna start here, go back.
Get a few more steps.
Yeah, waste time. It follows our policy.
Is the policy change that the policy committee did?
We didn't
Change the
change
policy for that?
It's,
Yeah.
we're doing it, we weren't, it's following what we
It's
said we're
following.
doing.
what we have, right?
Yeah.
You look at it.
I don't think we can. I think in talking to Gwen, I had a lengthy conversation, and you have to forgive me, it was a while ago, but I'll refresh. I think it has to
Yeah, I
be
know,
that
she
way.
recommended it. You guys don't do that.
We always have our, at the end of our, that we're gonna go into executive session, we have to post the date that, and time of the meeting on the agenda, so you have a big page that has next meeting, or half a page, next meeting, blah, 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 executive session start this time. So we have all that on there. And a lot of actually boards do that, so.
We can make it.
Alright.
It would make me happy.
Okay. Any public questions or comments on non-agenda items tonight?
I'll make a motion to
A second. A second.
Thank you very much.
Great.